For the third time in the last 4 years, the Las Vegas Aces are WNBA champions. Welcome to the wrap-up presented by AT&T. Alongside Maria Marino, I am Sam Ravech. And from a 500 team, Maria, at the All-Star break to WNBA champions. I mean, the Las Vegas Aces roller coaster season turned every which way possible, and yet it ends with them celebrating on the road in Phoenix. How do you kind of contextualize and put into words just what this team had to overcome to get to this point?
This type of a run is absolutely unheard of. The first half of the season, we were like, what is going on with this Aces team? Couldn't figure it out. They were under 500 at the All-Star break, first 25 games of the season. Wild. All of a sudden, they started to get a little momentum, and we're like, hold on, don't count out the Aces. Jewel Loyd goes to the bench.
That's right.
I mean, they added Alyssa Smith at the trade deadline. That helped. But every year with your roster, it's a puzzle. And somebody's got to figure out how those pieces fit. Well, the Aces figured it out. They rode it all the way to a 2 seed. And then from there, you know, anything was possible. And what's crazy, though, Sam, is, I mean, they were very close to elimination in the first round.
Right.
Close in the second round. Pushed to an elimination game that went to overtime.
Right.
So all of a sudden, now they're in the finals. I don't think any of us expected this to be a sweep.
No. And we're going to get a lot more into this game in Game 4. We're going to get a lot more into this series as it went down. As we progress along through the show, we're hoping to get Chiney Ogwumike to join us in just a couple of minutes, too, here on the wrap-up. But, you know, every year, rosters change, right, in the WNBA. This roster, at least its core, has really been there from the start. And I think that really showed here in this series. But with the core pieces on this team, they did add a few, like you said. So how does this championship differ from the previous 2 that the Aces have won?
Well, I would say, you know, obviously the core, the difference in the core this year, I mean, they still have their big 3, right? A'ja Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young. Kelsey Plum was a big part of those first 2 championships they won. She wanted to change. She moves on. They get Jewel Loyd. Right. And I think a big part of this, in particular, the bench. I don't think the prior championships, Becky had the confidence to ride her bench as much as she did this time. But what's crazy is I talked to you about they were close to elimination in the first 2 rounds, but yet as far as the finals go, I think this series was the most dominant of the final series that they have won. So they won 3-1 in 2023, 3-1 in 2022. Interestingly, all of those on the road. This is now the first team to clinch 3 times on the road. And earlier this week, we were both working with Coach Carolyn Peck, and she pointed out, you know, this team is comfortable winning on the road. They've won championships on the road before, and here they are again, champions.
Coach Hammon also said pregame, talking about A'ja Wilson, who, by the way, was just named Finals MVP, saying this season has tested A'ja in a way that she hadn't been tested in years prior. Not necessarily with what she did on the court, because that just continues to get better and better, but really what she meant to this team off the court and her leadership and that text that she sent after that August 3rd 53-point loss to Minnesota. But yeah, this team was different from the jump, right? I mean, they had 6 newcomers on this team, opening night roster. They had 2 coaches leave in the offseason as well. But there's Becky Hammon just kind of right there as the steady person to lead this team. Talk a little bit more about what you saw from A'ja, not just in this Game 4, not just in this final series, but throughout the course of the season.
Well, yeah, let's talk big picture for a second in terms of A'ja and the leadership, okay? Because last season, the Aces struggled, and they had an earlier playoff exit than they would have liked. Throughout the season, there were a lot of question marks. There were times last season where they were like kind of middle of the pack, right? And A'ja Wilson was so dominant that she was an MVP last season. But I think she learned, like, not that she needed to learn this, but it was just more of a reminder last season of like, yeah, MVP is cool, but like, I don't like this whole not winning thing. Right. And then it carried over into the start of this season where we were like, oh wow, is this the start of the dynasty kind of going downhill? Because they looked mid. Like they were literally mid.
How foolish of us, right?
Yeah, right? And then, they close out the season on this epic 16-game win streak to close the regular season. And so I think for Asia, it was a matter of like, okay, I know I'm dominant. I know I'm the best player in the world, but I still want the bar to be as high as possible for my team. And the goal is still a championship.
We're going to talk a lot more about A'ja Wilson and her impact, obviously, on this championship team. And
we have a lot to say.
We do. We have a lot to say. This show may go a little bit longer than 30 minutes, just a fair warning here. But let's dive a little bit deeper into this championship clinching game for the Aces, specifically here in Game 4. Heading into this matchup, Maria, I think we all knew that the big three were going to play a pretty significant role in whether or not the Aces were eventually going to hoist that trophy at the end. And they did. But there were really two ancillary aspects to this matchup that I think pushed them over the edge, if you will. The three-point shooting and the bench, as you mentioned. Just some numbers here to back it up. Vegas had 19 more threes than Phoenix in this final series. The Aces bench outscored Phoenix's bench by 29 points.
So what we saw Becky Hammon do a lot in this series was just surround A'ja with shooters. And this is why this roster construction, I think, is so brilliant, because the ancillary pieces, we'll shout them out. Definitely Jewel Loyd, definitely Dana Evans. They can all shoot.
Yeah.
They can all shoot. And so with A'ja, holding it down in the middle and then, being able to play inside out, outside in, that's gold for the game of basketball. And they had the ability to do that. And you saw Phoenix did not have that consistent shooting threat from the outside, and they also struggled defensively to guard the three. But I do want to talk more about Jewel Loyd specifically because, in the semifinal series, she was a little bit quiet. Game 1 of this series sets the tone, right? Comes out, starts hitting threes, and you're like, oh. And then Dana Evans as well. And that was the game. Game 1 is when they were needed the most because that was when the Aces were the most tired and Phoenix had the rest advantage. So for them to come out and, I want to say, steal Game 1. I know they were on their home court, but they were at a serious rest disadvantage, and they stole Game 1. And so I would also like to point out that those two players, by the way, have had prior championship experience on other teams. And so you're adding to a team that's already very experienced playing together, their core, and having won together. Now you add other winners around, and by the way, they are also shooters. And so those two in particular, and I thought Jewel, I just got to keep talking about her because it wasn't just the scoring. So best plus minus at 18 in this game, which is fitting because she had the best plus minus of any player this postseason.
Wow.
And how about this? 27-4 since Jewel Loyd moved to the bench. And now, earlier in the season, I was talking about, oh, wow, what a great move by Becky Hammon moving Jewel to the bench. And yes, she deserves some credit. But Jewel suggested it.
How many superstars would ever do that?
Hammon, which is brilliant because recognizing that the big three are so comfortable playing together and that the bench was lacking a little bit.
Right.
And that's when everything changed. You could point to this entire season just to that move of moving Jewel Loyd to the bench.
A couple more things, too, on that, because I completely agree with you. But, also, how many superstars have the egoless mentality to say, I'm going to do what's best for the team here? This is a player that's led league in scoring.
Absolutely.
And to come off the bench, a couple of things. She's able to survey what's going on the floor, a different perspective, bring what she can bring to the floor, and help her team win. But also, even though she comes off the bench, she's still one of the most highly used players in terms of minutes, but also her scoring went up when she went to the bench.
And what's so crazy is, she's coming off the bench. She's usually in the game within a couple of minutes, but still, just to your point, being able to see and survey. And I really feel like the games in this series where Vegas got off to hot starts, it was her. It was her fueling the hot start. And again, it goes back to this roster, and who do you focus on? And it's like, okay, Jackie Young's going off. We got to guard her.
Right.
Obviously, Asia, we got to pay attention to her. Chelsea Gray is clutch as anything, hitting buzzer beaters all over the place. And then and there's Jewel ready. And again, not just the scoring, but her hustle defensively, offensive rebounds, just great activity.
The ultimate X factor. We love the word X factor when we're talking about championship series, but to me, the X factor wasn't actually on the floor in this series. It was the head coach for the Aces, and Becky Hammon. And it showed, whether it was the in-game adjustments that she made on defense, both in game 2, going to the zone, throwing out the quote-unquote junk defense, which actually was not junk at all. But it just seemed like every button that she pushed worked. So, Maria, how much of an impact do you think that Becky Hammon's influence on this series really affected the ultimate outcome?
It's no surprise that when the Aces started winning, when they started sort of forming this dynastic type of team, it was when Becky Hammon became the head coach. She changed the whole philosophy. She said to Jackie Young, you got to shoot threes. The pace of the game changed. And I feel like I've said this before, and I'll say it again. What has defined Becky Hammon's postseason runs is her ability to make adjustments both in-game and game-to-game. We saw it in every run. Like I picture in 2022, I know it's not the final series, but when they played Seattle, that was like some crazy back and forth games and the plays that she would draw up in timeouts. 2023, the chess match with the Aces and the Liberty, and what Becky was able to do to close that game out, obviously on the back of Asia Wilson, but with a shorthanded team. Then you look at this finals, right? So game 1, you mentioned it. They were struggling. They had nothing going. And she's like, let's do a zone defense. Completely change the game. And then and you talked about it. I think the best thing that she did was say, every single game, we're just going to throw different stuff at you. We're going to just make you confused. You're never going to know what the heck we're doing defensively. And you mentioned it, the zone, the junk defense. I heard Rebecca Lobo talk about a triangle defense. I heard of the triangle offense.
Triangle too.
I wasn't expecting a triangle defense. And then also in, I believe it was, game 2, switches on ball screens. Just masterful. And then how about not this game, but game 3, doing what Nate Tibbetts didn't do in game 1 and calling timeout when you realize that you want to get a better look for the last shot of the game, having a chance to get the ball into your MVP to make the game-winning shot. So Becky Hammon, I give you all the praise.
Give her the praise. Give some praise to the players also for trusting in their coach to put them in the best positions. Credit Becky Hammon for kind of going out on a limb and doing some of these things, because Lord knows some of it could have backfired on them, and it didn't, and it paid off. And again, it just seemed like every single button that she did push came back to win. Some more context here for Becky Hammon. She becomes the 5th coach across NBA or WNBA to win 3 titles in their first 4 seasons as a head coach. But we are not the only ones talking about this WNBA Finals. Maria, let's hear from some of the folks talking on the social spheres out there and seeing what some of the reaction has been. I got to imagine. Is that a Kirby Smart picture? Y'all know I was coming. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Are we calling this a bucket or brick type of situation?
Yeah, that's KB right there. How did she get this tweet off real quick? That's a quick one right after that.
She was ready. She was ready.
Dejanay Carrington, yep.
And you know what? This is cool because I do think, Nalissa Smith, she might not have had the flashiest series, but she absolutely helped this team this season. And, I mean, she was a huge addition.
What a moment for Asian Bam. Aww. How sweet.
They are cute.
How sweet is that?
And you know what? I just love seeing his genuine support for her. Look at that.
Genuine. It really is.
And he talked about this earlier this week about just like wanting to see her just be the greatest, and she's there.
This is Nalissa Smith's brother here. I cannot believe.
Wow.
It's a WNBA champ.
Nalissa Smith getting lots of love.
Yeah.
From the supporters.
Really, really cool stuff there from the social world. We're now joined by Chiney Ogwumike Boots on the ground there in Phoenix as the Aces win their third title in a span of 4 years. Chiney, the word dynasty is often overused, but rarely does it ever fit reality. And that's not the case with the Las Vegas Aces. I'd like for you to tell me and everybody watching why that is.
I know dynasties very well because I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. The WNBA was launched with the Houston Comets. They won back-to-back championships. Then I watched my sister have some great rivalries against the Minnesota Lynx, who won 4 in 7 years. Now this Las Vegas Aces squad has truly taken that baton. They are dominant. They are a dynasty. And oftentimes when you have these types of teams, someone rises above and becomes an icon. That is A'ja Wilson. You guys, we've heard it multiple times, but it still never gets old because her trophy cabinet is wild. But to win MVP, co-defensive player of the year this year, to win the scoring title at over 23 points per game, and then solidify with another 30-point performance and earn finals MVP, she is in the most rare air because no one else has done what she has done. A 4-time MVP in this league, and she's only 29 years old. Now, what I do love, and I want to give credit to, is the Phoenix Mercury. Yeah. We saw so much of that signature fight. I mean, Satu Sabali not available, really unfortunate. Their head coach gets ejected. Ka fouls out, and still they closed the gap to almost 6 points. To me, their fight was there, but unfortunately they ran into a brick wall, and that wall is the dominance of the Las Vegas Aces, who earned themselves another great one.
Chiney, I'm so glad that you brought up the Mercury and their fight. This was not an easy closeout game, and there were also a couple of other really tight games in this series for Vegas. How were they ultimately able to just close this out tonight?
They did it because they trusted each other. I've said this multiple times on different shows. The Las Vegas Aces lead the WNBA in isolation. And it makes sense. I always say, like, they can do bad all by themselves. You can throw A'ja the ball, she can be in double team, she can still score. Jackie Young can get a pick and roll and hit the mid-range. Chelsea Gray knows how to pass better than most in all of basketball, or should I even say sports. They are great in isolation, but from the jump, I noticed in game 1, they were intentional about spreading the rock. A'ja, I believe in game 1, had 5 assists. People talk about how she continues to elevate her game. It's not just scoring and defending. It's the fact that she was also a playmaker. I like to provide context to this because they lost Kelsey Plum, who was a primary or secondary ball handler for this offense. Then Jackie Young develops her game and is bringing the ball up and making excellent reads. That is how they won, by trusting each other and realizing that they are stronger as a sum than individual parts. They could have each just gone and tried to be like, oh, I'm going to win this, I'm going to try to make this smart. No, they made the right play time and time again, and it was evident in transition. Joel Loyd, Dana Evans getting free looks. When you play unselfishly, you are rewarded, and that's why they won another title.
I think sometimes, Chiney, we're hesitant to kind of apply the GOAT label to players who may be younger in their careers or still have a lot of career left to play. I just think, like, why are we being hesitant with A'ja? If there's anybody out there that is hesitant to call A'ja the GOAT, please correct them, Chiney.
Let me just tell you, in basketball, we're going to always have GOAT debates, so just get used to it, okay? But the reason why I'm not so hesitant is because of the way that she affects the game on all levels. Offensively, like I mentioned, an MVP. She continues to expand her game. When I was breaking down ahead of Game 4, I said she has the mid-range mastery of Simone Augustus. Tweaky, hesitations, dream shakes, all those types of things. She has the beautiful fadeaway of Candace Parker, but most importantly, she has the elevation on her jump shot, which we saw in Game 3 when they needed her to make a game winner, of Maya Moore. And I know when we talk about GOATs, Maya comes up. Maya is the greatest winner that this game has ever seen. Y'all had to play against her. She is the hardest person I've ever had to guard. I had to guard against my sister. That was a mental battle. But Maya is just different. She was built different. And obviously, we know that she probably could have played and continue to go. But like, if you look at both careers at 29, what A'ja has done is also unparalleled. And I do believe that right now, with her dominance, her championships, I believe Maya won 4. A'ja's already got 3. But A'ja's won 4 MVPs. She's won multiple Defensive Players of the Year. She's just strictly dominant. The woman has a statue. She like left college for like 2 days and got a statue in South Carolina. She just continues I don't even know if she is a standard, because I don't know if anyone can touch what she has done for many generations to come. That's not a knock on any other great. I just believe that people right now need to appreciate what we're watching in real time, because this does not happen often.
I want to appreciate some more what the Aces achieved tonight, because just like A'ja Wilson makes things look easy, the Aces made it look easy, winning on the road, a tough environment in Phoenix. You're there. Can you just sort of explain what that momentum shift was like in the second half, the heated nature of some of the exchanges between the players, the text, and just the poise of the Aces to not let that rattle them?
One thing we know about the Phoenix Mercury, they like to play with a chip on their shoulder. But I do feel like it was hard to, time and time again, try to put your best foot forward and sometimes just get an unlucky break. We know Satu was not available. Obviously, Ka was having one of the best games that I've ever seen. Kalia Copper, she had 30 points, and the frustrations got to her with the foul trouble. Alyssa Thomas sometimes was hesitant, but my goodness, the toughness that she showed going down with a shoulder injury. I mean, some people could have said, I don't know if I could play. She went back out there. I'll never forget that first shot that she actually made in the second half. She was wincing. There was so much pain on her face. For Las Vegas Aces to understand that they can't rest. The game got to 6. That's when this building was rocking. Everyone calls the fans here, that's what they're known as, the X Factor. They were up out of their seats. They felt like magic could happen in this moment because the team was banding together, very similar to what we saw in that final run in the fourth quarter of Game 3. But then greats do what they do. Chelsea Gray is a finals MVP for a reason. She's also called the, point guard? She's super clutch, knocks down 2 huge threes. A'ja Wilson, maybe not the best shooting night, doesn't matter. She will not be denied getting to the basket. She shot 19 free throws, I think made 17 of them. Jackie Young, just, you know what Becky Hammon calls her, put back Jack. Yoked, flex, nothing phases her. So I know that this Phoenix Mercury team was hurting, but Vegas had to play every possession to win this, and they did exactly that.
Janae, I'm going to steal you for another minute. We'll let you go on this one, but nobody is better at putting this stuff into words, I think, than you. There's been a lot of talk around the league. There's a lot of unknown going into the future of what is next, not only for the Las Vegas Aces and the Mercury, but really for the rest of the W. There's been so much momentum that has built up to this moment. What is next, and maybe what is the ceiling for the W? Because I really don't think that there is.
Honestly, this is a beautiful moment for those who love women's basketball. The growth is unparalleled. And I know you're alluding to a number of issues, including the CBA negotiations. I was on the executive committee. Obviously, I'm very close to my older sister who's president of the WNBPA. But I look, and I do believe that people want to protect what we just saw. The women doing, these are the best women's basketball players in the world, and they want to play at a high level. The fans care about them. The growth is there, especially when it comes to the revenue. Teams, we have expansion. This is what we've been waiting for. And on top of it, my goodness, the free agency is going to be crazy. I think there's only 2 players under contract. So honestly, if you are a fan, this is the moment to stay tuned. I do believe that there's going to be a lot of collaboration, hopefully, moving forward, because the players, they're going to always make their voices heard, but most importantly, they understand that the fans deserve to continue to build on this momentum and see them do what they do best, and that's compete at the highest levels. So the WNBA, one thing we know how to make news, right? But let's hope it's constructive news so that this can keep going.
Amen.
Janae, really appreciate it. And I know you guys don't like to take a lot of the credit, but I do think that you, Dre, and Elle do deserve a lot of credit for helping build this league to where it is over the last couple of years. The Big 3 is going to be here for a while, and we are just so grateful that you guys have blessed us all year long on the wrap-up and with our WNBA coverage. Really appreciate it.
Congrats on another successful WNBA season. It's been a blessing.
Janae, enjoy the offseason. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
It's late. I'm about to hit that locker room. You know what I'm saying? Bye.
More social reaction after the WNBA Finals goes final. This team went 14-14 and really won the finals. I do have a stat here. The 3 previous teams that won 15 straight games during the regular season went on to win the championship. 98 Comets, 01 Sparks, 14 Mercury, 2025 Las Vegas Aces. Who gave A'ja? We got tambourines in Phoenix. In Evans to 18. It was getting a little spicy.
Dana
there
wanted
during the
the
game.
smoke. Dana wanted the smoke. Love it. I actually like seeing a little trash talking going on. I thought it was interesting.
This is the finals after all. All right,
Absolutely.
time now for Guarantee of the Day. presented by AT&T. My guarantee, Maria,
Yeah.
A'ja Wilson is officially the GOAT. I know we just talked to Chiney Ogwumike, who, again, is so great at putting these things into words. But I just think, like, let's not wait around to apply this label to a player that has transcended the game of basketball. Forget women's basketball.
Right.
Transcended the game of basketball. That's what A'ja Wilson has done. She's got 3 titles in her 8 years. She's not even 30 years old, as you mentioned. She's the 3rd player in league history to have consecutive 30-point games in the finals, joining the Louisville great Angel McCoughtry and Breanna Stewart. And she's also scored more points than anybody has scored in the postseason. You could go up and down a whole host of stats that she has broken. Obviously, the game winner, yeah, that's what icons do. That's what legends do. So that's what GOATs do, Maria.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're in a conversation with Bill Russell, the greatest winner maybe of all time in any sport. So A'ja is now 2nd player in W or NBA history with 3 titles and 3 MVPs in a 4-year span. I mean, yeah, being mentioned with the greatest winner of all time. And because of that, I am going to piggyback off of your guarantee.
Okay. What do we
and
got?
by the way, I have lots of GOAT thoughts. So I'm gonna continue the
Please.
GOAT conversation. But my guarantee is that A'ja Wilson will win another championship. Folks, she's only 29 years old. This woman is in her prime. But I've been thinking a lot about greatest. And I really started having these thoughts, like probably most people, after seeing that game winner in Game 3, because all of a sudden it's like, wow, now an iconic moment with the stakes the highest, a clutch performance from her. But here's what I settled on, right? We know about the resume. We know about all the awards and the accolades. But when I think about the skill set of A'ja Wilson, there is no weakness to her game. She is not just a big who dominates the paint and blocks shots. Yes, she is a two-way player, but think about her offensive bag, okay? She has a jumper that is automatic from the mid-range. She makes her free throws. Made 17 of them tonight.
Yeah.
How many bigs you know that shoot like a clip like that? And then how about the fact that she now makes threes, okay? So a couple of years ago, I might have said, oh, you know, she isn't necessarily a threat from 3. Now, not only does she make threes, she shot it at a 40% plus clip this year. She does everything. But here's what I think truly sets her apart. I think it's her will to win and her mentality. I think about the biggest moments. She recognizes sometimes the best place for the ball to be is in her hands. And going back to like the 2023 finals, for instance, that game where, you know, Chelsea Gray was out, she just put her head down and went to work and drove to the rim. I never worry about whether or not A'ja Wilson is going to be aggressive. She will be.
It is exactly 11:11 p.m. on the East Coast time. It's usually a good time to make a wish. And I wish we keep getting to see A'ja Wilson do A'ja Wilson things because she is really one of a kind and incredibly a special player and a special person. It's always great to, and this is no knock on the Mercury, but it's great to see good things happen to good people. And A'ja is a great ambassador for the sport.
I think if there's ever a time to wax poetic about a player, this is it. And it's no disrespect to the other greats of the game that came before, you know, Diana, Sue, Candace, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper. I mean, they're all greats. But when you package everything together and what we've seen from A'ja in such a short time and the amount that she has won early in her career, it's something to talk about.
All right, let's kind of wrap up this show on the wrap-up, talking a little bit more about how dynastic this Las Vegas Aces team has been. 3 titles in the span of 4 years, joining only Houston Comets, who won 4 straight out of the gate when the W came on the scene. And, of course, you got Minnesota, who won 4 in the span of 7 years. But how do you kind of contextualize where this Aces team and where this Aces dynasty stands when you put it up against those others?
I mean, it's really hard to compare. I really want to go back and watch some archival footage from some of those other OG dynasties. But I think with the construction of the team, again, you have to realize that, you know, this sport and a lot of sports, like, you get #1 picks because you struggle a lot. And the Aces struggled enough that they got 3 #1 picks in a row. As mentioned prior, Kelsey Plum not on the team anymore, but certainly a big part of beginning this dynasty. And then the free agency signing of Chelsea Gray in 2021, that took them to another level. And I also want to shout out that man right there, Mark Davis, for investing in this team, making it a premier franchise. And the support that he clearly shows, you see him hugging all the players. This is what women's basketball has needed. This is what the W has needed. It's people that recognize a great product and have felt that it's worthy of investment, which then gives you a return. The franchise valuation is something that Mark Davis, I'm sure, is happy about after paying only $2 million for the team a couple of years ago. But beyond that, it's clear that he actually supports and cares about these players.
Just some more numbers here, and apologize just for reading some of these things. But first WNBA team to sweep in the finals since, obviously, the Storm did it against the Aces in 2020. We mentioned, too, the first team ever to kind of come from behind after being below 500 to win a WNBA Finals at the All-Star break. First team to clinch 3 titles on the road, as you mentioned. And Becky Hammon, 4th coach in WNBA history with at least 3 titles. Final thoughts here, Maria, as we, I know it's tough to kind of encapsulate the entire season, but you got something else?
I mean, as mentioned, the Aces deserve their shine for sure. I do want to talk about the Mercury a little bit. I thought Kahlia Copper was absolutely electric this entire series. There were times where she just absolutely took over. I can't wait to see what's next for her. Alyssa Thomas was the engine. I do wonder a little bit about that hand injury that we saw in the first game, if that might have affected her a little bit. Not trying to make excuses, but
tremendous fight though, right? With the shoulder too.
And the shoulder. We saw some big game Bonner moments. This was a really, really fun squad. I mean, they were the comeback kids. They were down in both of the first 2 series, came back. They had multiple, I think 3 comebacks of, double digits. They ended up not finishing it out in game 3. Came back in this closeout game for the Aces, but super, super fun squad. I think the W this season has had more parity than I have seen in a long time. Minnesota was the only team that had set itself apart all season long, and then look what happened. So there was a lot of good ball going on this season. How about like Atlanta and the run that they made? There's going to be some teams to watch. I know we're going to have a free agent frenzy,
expansion, all of it,
But I think for some of these expansion, I just got so excited. We're going to have even more teams next year. And after seeing what Golden State did, I can't wait to see what the other expansion teams do. This is it, baby. It's our time. It's our time.
I will say too, just to touch upon Phoenix before we get out of here. They were swept in this series, and I think that's what people will remember. But you and I watched this entire thing. This series was a lot closer than a 4-game sweep. So tremendous credit to the Phoenix Mercury for making this thing really interesting.
Can I say one more thing? Thoughts go out to Satu Sabali. I think she is going to look back at this postseason and see so much growth and so much opportunity for her maturity and to take it to the next level. So really excited to see what Satu does.
I'll kind of end it here with so much uncertainty and uncharted waters as we move forward here in the WNBA. I think we all know this. Women's basketball is in a great place. The fans are in a great place with record high attendance. And it's a great time to be a women's basketball fan. And we're looking forward to seeing what is in store for next year. But that will do it for us here on the wrap-up. Fear not, though, we will have another wrap-up show this upcoming Sunday. We'll talk a lot more about that woman right there, what she has done for the Las Vegas Aces. We'll talk more about the Aces championship. Again, a 3rd title in a span of 4 years as a dynasty is born. For Maria Marino and our entire crew, I am Sam Ravech saying so long. Thank you so much for watching the wrap-up presented by AT&T. Congratulations, Las Vegas. Enjoy it.